unlock the door using the key the Burgomeister gave you. It's a rare example of the deadly Mordavian moose, distinguishable by its long, fang-like canines. Someone has strung garlic around its neck, probably in hopes that it will stay on the wall. The finely crafted sword rests within this case, but there doesn't seem to be a door or any way to open the case. A plaque reads, "Break glass in emergency." This desk holds the adventurer's logbook, a quill pen, and an inkwell. That would be a lot easier if the desk had a drawer. You sign your name into the adventurer's logbook with a flourish. It's almost become a habit by now. You read in the adventurer's log about some of the exploits of past adventurers in Moldavia. Prominent among them is the story of Piotr and the Dark One's cult. Near the end of the book, Piotr tells how he led the armies against the Chernovi cult outside the Dark One's cave. The fighters were trained soldiers, but the cult members fought like madmen. Suddenly, the cult members changed their forms and became grotesque monsters. Many of the soldiers panicked and ran. The battle was nearly lost. Then Piotr heard the voice of Irana. "By all my will, I banish you to..." The voice was cut off. The cult members screamed and ran. Piotr entered the cave and searched for some sign of life. All he could find were the grotesque remains of cult members. The only sign of Irana was her magical staff lying on the ground. Piotr picked it up and left the cave, knowing that Irana was beyond his help. Piotr then tells how he brought the staff back to town and placed it in the town square. A garden of flowers instantly sprang up around it. Near the end of the book, Piotr tells that he was going to seek out the rituals of the Dark One and destroy them. There are no later entries. This desk holds the... That would... The case looks totally solid, as if it was constructed around the sword. A plaque reads, "Break glass in emergency only." The case is totally sealed. You can't find any way to open it. There's no sign at all of a crack or seam in this case. You can't find any way to open it, or even a place to slip in your dagger. Are you kidding? You have trouble forcing a mayonnaise jar open, let alone a heavy case. You'll need to build up your strength before you can get through this one. This is a long, sturdy-looking rope with a grapnel hook attached to one end. You pick up the rope and grapnel set and tie it onto your pack. A large ring is securely attached to the ceiling. Someone has deliberately scraped these marks into the ceiling. Some round metal weights lie neatly stacked on the floor. I better hope Dr. Cranium doesn't see them. He'd probably invent the cannon and upset the balance of power. This is either some sort of diabolical device or an exercise machine. Come to think of it, exercise machines are diabolical devices. Your legs are too stiff and sore to use this right now. Your legs are too stiff and sore to use this right now. There are a number of books on the shelf, including Hero Magazine's Golden Guild Guide to Mordavia, Flora, Fauna and Folklore. Which book do you want to read? As you scan through Hero, the Journal of General Job Adjusting, you find quite a bit of information that might be useful here. There are a series of articles about the land of Moldavia. The town originally grew up around Castle Borgov. The Borgovs were the boyars, or local noblemen, assigned the role of guarding the area from invaders. The chapter on fauna describes a number of interesting creatures. The Necritor is a vicious carnivore with big, sharp teeth. Some of the other monsters sound even more horrific. In the forest lives the Lishi, a creature known for playing practical jokes on travelers and playing riddle games, but which can also be helpful to those it likes. You learn about the Rosalka, the spirit of a murdered, unmarried woman. Such spirits are said to inhabit lakes and rivers. They try to avenge themselves by drowning any man foolish enough to approach them. You could really learn a lot by reading this magazine thoroughly instead of just browsing through it. Isn't it nice that we included a complete copy in your game box? The book turns out to be an advertising brochure. It says, "I, Dr. Cranium, predict that someday one of my descendants will become the subject of a major computer game. The Castle of Dr. Brain from Sierra Online." Jeez, how cheesy can you get? The book is all about using spells in unusual and creative ways, such as calming a fire, using alternate flame and frost spells to make something brittle and break, and so on. You pick up a number of useful tips which will improve your spellcasting. This book teaches the ancient Oriental art of talk fool, how to overcome opponents by attacking them with the unpronounceable names of martial arts forms and confusing them with fortune cookie wisdom. You get lost somewhere between karate and kuksul. You read through the book on spell-casting techniques again. It hasn't changed. Hey, this isn't a lending library. Nice try, but the bookshelf won't budge. If there's a secret passage around here, it's hidden a different way. Then there's Talk Fu, a martial arts pronunciation guide. There is an empty picture frame above the bookshelf. Either somebody thought the wall itself was a piece of art, or a thief has been at work here. Large ring. It is said that a man's reach should exceed. The frame is concealing a secret passage, but you can't see any way to open it from here. It's a large, rough-hewn table. Maybe those ewers belonged to the hewers. bait the trap with avocado from your sandwich. Avocado was never high on your list of favorite foods anyway. The trap starts working. Oh no, you've been... Fortunately, this strange device... The Antwerp has a soft, delicate fur over a basically rubbery base. You don't have... You'll never catch an Antwerp. That didn't do it. This is the Antwerp maze. Antwerps are naturally bouncy, so all you have to do is continually rotate the maze until the baby Antwerp bounces over to the key, then out through the exit. Congratulations. You've used the baby Antwerp to get Dr. Cranium's laboratory key from the maze. You add the key to your keyring. Great! You've managed to find Dr. Cranium's keyhole and open the door. You pass through into Dr. Cranium's private laboratory.
Quickly, Igor, the fluid. I must have the fluid. Oh, excuse me. I thought it was Igor coming in to assist me. He helps out in the lab sometimes. Now then, what can I do for you?
You say hello to the scientist.
Welcome to my laboratory. You must have more than the usual intelligence and perseverance to have made it in here.
You introduce yourself to Dr. Cranium and tell him a little about your adventures.
I should be most interested to hear about your travels and your scientific discoveries along the way. Unfortunately, I have very little time for that right now. Perhaps we can discuss your adventures when you next return.
You explain to Dr. Cranium that magic is really a lot like science and even deals with the same elements.
Oh, nonsense! There's no such thing as magic. There is only science. What you call magic is simply scientific phenomena that have not yet been properly investigated and catalogued. My name is Dr. Cranium. I am Moldavia's chief scientist and a certified genius. Some call me mad, but I much prefer Dr. Cranium. Ah, yes, science. I'm glad you asked. Science is the process of systematically increasing our knowledge of the world through observation and experiment. Unfortunately, some of the townspeople here seem to have no concept of the wonders of science. Some of them even claim my little inventions are magical. Such poppycock. There's no such thing as magic. Still, the townspeople insisted that I should be able to use my magic to cure wounds and sickness. I told them that I am a scientist, not a doctor, but they wouldn't listen. I had little choice but to concoct some simple elixirs. They were childishly pleased. Science is really so simple once you understand it. If you want to improve your stamina, then you should make sure you eat a healthy diet from all the different food groups and get plenty of aerobic exercise. That is science. Oh, you must mean my patented healing drink. You may have my last one. Unfortunately, I have forgotten the formula for its main ingredient. If you can help me remember it, I will be able to make some more healing drinks, although the work is very time-consuming.
You aren't... Somehow, that doesn't seem quite right. Maybe you better check your manual and try again tomorrow. You ask Dr. Cranium if he can spare an empty flask for specimen collection.
Of course, of course. I am always delighted to assist scientific research of any kind, and I have plenty of flasks. You may have this one. Experiments are the meat and drink of science. First, you must come up with a hypothesis based on your understanding of the scientific elements. Then perform an experiment to test the hypothesis. Afterwards, you have a pizza. Earth is for solidity and stability. Air gives freedom and movement. Fire provides power and energy. Water, fluidity and life. Pizza, of course, is the most important element of all. Pizza represents the essence of well-roundedness and regaining strength. Most importantly, you can have it delivered in under half an hour in most areas. A hypothesis is a scientific guess. One predicts the result of an operation, performs an experiment to test the prediction, then has a pizza to celebrate the result. It is very important to stay flexible, however. Sometimes the experiment may give a different result than predicted by the hypothesis. Since real scientists don't like to make mistakes, we always write the hypothesis in pencil. Pizza is a crucial ingredient in many scientific formulae. There is a nearly infinite variation in its effects, depending on whether one starts with pepperoni, mushrooms, artichokes, or plain cheese. One should always order extra pizza in case the experiment requires additional materials. Besides, science is hungry work. There is, of course, no such thing as magic. There is only science. Still, you would be amazed at how gullible some people are. Just the other day, someone gave me this scroll saying it was a magical spell. Can you believe that? It is purest poppycock. Nothing on here makes any sense whatsoever. Here, you may have this as a reminder that magic is a figment of fevered imagination. Only science is real.
Obviously, Dr. Cranium needs to take a correspondence course from the famous wizard school. As you read the scroll, you find that you have learned the incantations and gestures with which to cast a glide spell. Then the scroll vanishes.
There, you see, it was not even a very good piece of parchment. Fell right apart. Igor is the gravedigger and tombstone carver. Business has been slow lately, perhaps because there are very few people left in town. So Igor sometimes comes in to help me with my work. Igor has had less work of late. The forest is just as dangerous, but there aren't very many people left in town who are stupid enough to go out there at night, you know. I like to think of it as a sort of evolution in action. Igor is carving out quite a niche for himself in the gravestone business. You might say he is well on his way to becoming a rock star. Then again, you might not. The cemetery is outside of town to the east. It has proven a fruitful source of materials for my experiments. There are also some interesting and cryptic puzzles to be solved there. Essential etheric fluid is an important ingredient in my formula for reanimating dead bodies. It contains the essence of the element of water, the most important ingredient in life science. This laboratory is where I perform some of my most important research. Lately, I have been trying to bring life back to a dead body and to brew the perfect cup of tea. I try to maintain a modest selection of useful experimental equipment in my simple laboratory. Unfortunately, it has become very difficult to obtain the most modern scientific accessories since the road out of the valley became closed by the swamp. Reanimating the dead is just another day's work in the life of a scientist. Even science cannot bring a person back right the way they were, but one can use scientific principles to restore the semblance of life and energy to formerly dead flesh. The one alchemical combination that I have thus far been unable to fully analyze is that of a good cup of tea. I'm sure there must be a way to duplicate the effects of nature, but the results have not been promising so far. Perhaps you would like a cup of spearmint and beefsteak tea? I thought not. This is even harder than rehydration solution and reviving dead tissue. Research is the heart and soul of science. Without constant experimentation to prove or disprove one's hypotheses, the scientist is left trying to solve the world's problems by guesswork. That is hardly the most efficient way to achieve results. I try to Mad? Mad? They all call me mad, but what do they know of madness? I am not mad. A bit perturbed about the world situation and how I get so little respect, perhaps, but certainly not mad.
You say goodbye to Dr. Cranium.
Please be careful not to break the beakers or crack the flasks on your way out.
Dr. Cranium has an orderly personality, so he likes to arrange things in tables.
Come back and visit again. Oh, and if you see Igor, please tell him I still need the fluid.
That didn't do it. That didn't... The headstone carver stares at you and then goes back to work. That would be a lot. You climb down the ladder into a seedy-looking room. A massive door blocks off a smaller room in the rear. This isn't as dusty as the Adventurers Guild, and the torches look recently lit. Your eye is drawn to the Thieves Guild recruiting poster on the back wall. It gives you fond memories of your home guild. The double doors are, of course, locked. This is a Thieves Guild, after all. This is a Thieves Guild recruiting poster, featuring a sophisticated worldly master thief. In an early excess of 3D poster art techniques, the artist has arranged the poster so that the thief is holding an actual plastic card. A legend at the bottom says, "Don't thieve home without it." The painting is undoubtedly a forgery. Not that you know anything about art forgery, but you're quite sure that it would have been stolen a long time ago if it was actually worth anything. The painting... Some barrels have been stacked up in the corner, probably leftovers from wild guild parties. You examine the metal grate on the floor. It might be a drainage grate, but it's strange that there should be two of them right next to each other. This is a drainage grate. Strange that there should be two of them almost next to each other. On close examination, you find some scratches that might be thief marks behind the side drain. Rummaging around under the floor drain, you find a round knob with a point on one side, which you pick up. Thieves have had to clean up after themselves since a few unfortunate accidents with maintenance personnel. The well-worn oak desk looks as though it could conceal 1,000 secrets. Most of the drawers appear to be fakes. The one real drawer is locked. You're kidding, right? The desk is, of course, locked. You'd better not. It might be trapped. The double doors are locked shut. The lock itself looks sophisticated, but the door has a simple sliding latch. If you had the right tool, you think you could easily slip the latch. There does seem to be something under this barrel, but you've got no clue of what to do with it. There's nothing in these barrels. It doesn't burn. This seedy place must be the Thieves' Guildhall. Actually, it compares favorably to the one in Spielberg, but it's become dusty and neglected. There doesn't seem to have been anyone in here for quite some time. There's nothing in these. There does seem to be something. It doesn't. No one. It's one of those basic, uncomfortable wooden office chairs. it's one of the... You slip the guild membership card between the doors and unlatch the lock. Your guild card. Don't leave home without it. There are a number of fascinating books about thief techniques on the bookshelves. Of special interest is the one on disarming traps. It says that with a new Mark II thieves' toolkits and a bit of skill in picking locks, you can locate and disarm almost any mechanical trap. In the section on surviving magical traps, the book suggests taking up religion. There is also a book on thief marks that tells you all about this secret language of thieves. You learn a number of new symbols and combinations. There are a number of fascinating... There is also... This looks like an interesting safe. Another fine product of the Filch Safe Company. But you can't for the life of you figure out how anyone can open a safe with no knob. Now that you've replaced the safe knob, the Filch safe looks ripe for the cracking. You know, kind of like a walnut. To open the safe, you will need to spell out the combination with alternating right and left turns. You quickly rifle the opened safe. Unfortunately, it looks as though legions of Thieves' Guild initiates have been here before you, as all the money is gone. You do find 5 throwing daggers placed here for, well, safekeeping. The only other usable thing in the safe is a single lockpick, half buried in dust in one corner. You grab the lockpick and the daggers. Ah, that did it. The lock springs open with a satisfying snick. Maybe you should have tried disarming the trap on the desk first. You set off a poison trap. Inside the desk you find a complete and hardly used Mark II Thieves' Toolkit. It has all the latest facilities for opening the toughest locks, cracking safes, and disarming mechanical traps. There is one lockpick missing from the set, so you add yours to it. You also find a fancy match set of 3 throwing daggers, which you add to your collection. Finally, you find some sort of diary or logbook in the desk. The title of the book reads, Memoirs of a Master Manipulator. Modest, eh? You take it out and set it on the desk, but it's a little heavy to carry around with you. You leaf through the Chief Thief's logbook. An interesting entry speaks of a proposed night raid on the castle. The guild members would use the secret passage to avoid notice. You wonder which secret passage that might be. A later entry in different handwriting indicates how far the guild had declined recently. It seems to be just a bunch of doodling and some nonsense words. It says, Bad boys yell, good girls giggle, rich girls run. Not quite on the same standard as a nighttime castle raid. One of the final entries says, Fred and Frank caught out at night without hooks. Fred is dead and Frank sank. I'm the last. An ambitious thief will try to prosper by hook and by crook. The log closes with some incoherent ramblings about passing the deadly tentacled beast, then the horror, shadows of darkness enfold me, madness and mockery in the dark one's chamber. Sounds as though the author was in a chemically modified state. Ah, you found a hidden safe. Good work. Ah, you found a hidden safe. Good work. You set up the thieves' toolkit and try to disarm any traps that may be on the safe. You have successfully disarmed the safe. You crack the safe using the Mark II toolkit. You take the healing potion, throwing dagger, and 5 crowns someone was foolish enough to leave inside. You set up the thieves' toolkit and try... You have successfully disarmed the safe. Using the Mark II toolkit, you quickly manage to get the safe open. Inside you find 6 crowns, a throwing dagger, and a potion labeled Poison Cure. They seem a fitting reward for your efforts, so you take them. There's nothing in... The poster is firmly attached to the wall. There's nothing behind this one. The poster is Oh, that's a really unthief-like thing to do. Causing wanton damage tends to discourage people from leaving their valuables out for you. You depress the barrel tap, but nothing comes out. Instead, the barrel slides across the wall to reveal some sort of mechanism. This is a door unlocking mechanism. To operate it, push each of the tiles until all 9 tiles have been set to the correct pattern to open the door.
So, you found my secret passageway. You must excuse me. I'm not quite myself anymore. Oh, don't worry. I won't hurt you. It is good to talk to someone again. It has been so very long since anyone has been here. Ah, but I'm forgetting my manners. Welcome to Mordavia. I am the chief thief here. I'm also the only thief here other than you, but that is beside the point.
He looks like a cross between an enormous beetle and an older version of your old buddy you got.
Pleased to meet you. It's so good to have someone of my own kind to talk to again. Interesting. You have had a good deal of experience. If you study up on trap disarming and thief signs, you will have almost every skill you need to become a master thief. Perhaps even a chief thief like myself.
Feeling like an idiot, as you generally do when making the sign, you go through the motions of performing the thief sign to the monster.
Well, of course you're a thief, or you wouldn't be here, idiot! Tuck that elbow in tighter on the belly rub next time. You are a very brave and honorable man to offer such a thing. Are you certain you are in the right profession? Do you want to be a thief or some kind of a hero? The 2 roles are usually mutually exclusive, you know. There is a little-known secret way into the castle that I will someday reveal to you when I think you are ready. This was once a thriving training ground for new thieves. They would come from miles around to learn the trade here. If only we were not completely cut off from the rest of the world, this would be the greatest thieves' guild in the whole world! After I became such as I am, many of the members left. One thief said that I was no longer fit to be chief. After I showed him how fast I could throw daggers with these feet, he didn't say much. Never said anything again, as a matter of fact. The ones that left said they felt uncomfortable around me. Fools! Do they think this is some sort of brotherhood of man? This is a brotherhood of thieves! They should be uncomfortable around me. Soon it was just me and two others. They decided to explore the castle after the new owner moved in and never returned. So now there's only me and you. You mean this passage behind me? It leads out of town under the bridge near the gate. You can use it to get out of town, but you cannot get back in. The door can't be opened from the outside. You have to be very careful with traps. Always check for them first. Take your time disarming them. One mistake can be your last. We are not exactly set up right now to fence stolen items. There are several places around the town where you might be able to find a bit of loose cash, though. I will tell you what. You go out and steal something from someone in town and come back and tell me about it. If it sounds like you know your basic thief skills, I will let you know where the really good places are. Do you like it? I'm afraid it is not very becoming. And to think I once despised cockroaches. It would be too dangerous for you to help me. If I, a master thief and chief of a major guild, dare not go back to the monastery, you would be wise not to even think of such a thing. I made a terrible mistake and broke into the monastery one night. It had been abandoned for years, and I thought maybe something had been left behind there. I discovered a secret passage to the basement. That place gave me the creeps. I felt like something was watching me all the time. When I got to the basement, I discovered a small statue I could easily take. When I tried to pick it up, I felt very, very dizzy. When I awoke from my faint, I looked like this. You can imagine my horror. Do you think it's fun to have 6 legs and no matching socks? Do you think I enjoy running around frantically and stopping suddenly for no apparent reason? Do you think it's fun to look in the mirror and wish you had a giant fly swatter so you could commit suicide? Is that your idea of fun? You idiot! You! Forgive me, I'm just not myself lately. My name? Oh, you can call me Chief. No point in being informal here just because no one else is around. This was once a very prosperous town before the swamp cut off the only passages in or out of here. That is a very dangerous place. Do not even think of trying to break into it through the door. The last thief who tried that did not even get the door open. We found his toolkit lying beside the door, but we never found him. You will need to be careful around him. He takes his job most seriously. I once offered him a bribe, just as an offer of goodwill, and the man practically bit my head off. Shee, what a sore head. A strange man, a very strange man. No thief ever managed to break into his house unnoticed or steal anything from there. Do you mean Nikolai? Yes, his would be an easy house from which to gain money. Be wary, though. The Burgomeister's bedroom is beside the house, and Dmitri watches out and listens for the old man. If you ever plan to stay at the inn, or even just eat there, I would not recommend stealing from that place. The people there are suspicious of strangers anyway, and would know who to blame. That shop is very securely locked up at night. The only way to get into it would be to very literally break in the window, and that would attract unwanted attention. Do not try it unless you want to get caught.
It doesn't say...
Must you go so soon? We were just getting to know one another.
Your legs are too... After some rest, you feel better.